Good evening to everyone and welcome to tonight's presentation. Let me see if we have people already joining in. Yes, hi Lana, hi Monica, hi Claire, welcome to the presentation. I'm not gonna wait for anyone else to join. They're coming, I can see a few more joining now. I'm gonna start straight to with the presentation, as I know most of you booked just 1 hour for that. So I'm gonna switch my screen to my presentation, and we'll start straight away. Okay. Now, why this quote from the propaganda minister from Nazis? It says, if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. This is not something that is used only in the past. It's used nowadays as well. And the reason I put that as a first slide is because I will kindly ask you to be open-minded for that for this presentation. Some of the things I will say maybe will contradict certain beliefs that you have, and etc. That's fine. Question me on anything you would like. At the end, I'm going to leave time to question on anything you like. And remember, I am agnostic as well. Today I believe one thing. If I have other information, I don't have a problem to change my mind. But the last 10 years or so, I invested heavily in looking for the real, well, you can say cures. And this is what I'm going to present to you today. So moving to the next slide. We know that a lot of things are bad for our health, but we didn't find out about them for at least 30, 40 years afterwards. We had the cigarettes that were, which even the doctors, they were promoting them. However, nowadays there are other things. There can be vaccinations, there can be electromagnetic radiation, amalgam fillings, and so many other things. The question is, can you and your family wait for 30 years or so to find out the truth? Obviously not. And that's why it is important once more to listen everything I say with an open mind. So the topic of today's presentation, we did say learn how to improve your sleep, digestion, feel better, and increase your productivity. What you're going to learn today, it's going to apply to many, many more things as well. So yes, the information that you're going to get, just I'm letting you know in advance, is applicable to many other problems. Who is it for? Well, I know some of you, you're health practitioners. It is for health practitioners. It is for parents with kids. It is for very sick people who actually they're on medication, or even if they are without medication, it's absolutely suitable, the information. Also for stress out business people, and even athletes, if they want to enhance their health and vitality, that will be suitable as well. Now, my promise to you is the following. By the end of today, by the end of the presentation, I will have completely, it's a big statement what I'm going to make, but it will be completely, I'm going to change your perspective, the way you look health. That includes even practitioners. And everything is going to make sense why I can make such a bold statement. Now, also, I will help you stop wasting any money and time for things that really don't work, and actually in many cases they're making you worse. Also, by the end of the presentation, you will know the root cause of all chronic illnesses and what you can do about it in order to protect yourself and your family, or if you already have some health condition, how to reverse it. Now, I'm going to present to you the theory, then we will do some practical bits, then I'm going to tell you some ways that you can continue the education with me, if you're interested to continue more. And then we're going to look into case studies. And afterwards, I'm going to stay for as long as it's needed in order to answer all your questions. And please do make notes, because a lot of the things, as I said, you might find strange. And if you're a practitioner, you might even think, how is it possible I never heard about this information? Well, it is never late, and actually, you should be very happy and congratulate yourself for being on this webinar, because the information that you're gonna get, although it is free, actually, in terms of value, it's more, it's invaluable. And some people, they spend all their lives in courses and doing other things, and they didn't even touch the surface of what I'm gonna touch to you, what I'm gonna say to you. Now, before I just start presenting, going straight to the theory, etc., just a few words about me and how I came to do this. Well, originally I'm from Greece. My full name is Konstantinos Kapellas. People call me Kostas. And I came in the UK 17 years ago. Now, I came very, very fit, healthy, happy. But working in catering, my background was catering. I worked for posh places like Warner Brothers, Claridge's, Rolls-Royce, etc., restaurants. I started getting sick. My nails start having ridges on my nails. My hair they start getting thinner, and I was it even affected me. Our relationship 12 years ago. A serious relationship, which caused me start getting, losing weight. Some people put weight. I lost about 10 kilograms, and I was blessed enough because I'm a curious. I always checking information here and there. I was lucky enough, after searching and listening to people telling me different things about my health, vitamins, emotions, etc. I was exposed to kinesiology. I went to an open day with Claire Moffat, who has the kinesiology school. And actually, I thought I was fit. I had the energy, but I was running on empty, with like a car without petrol, which is going to collapse at any moment. And Claire, bless her, she rebuilt my health. But what was interesting for me was that I was exposed to the fact that when it comes to health, it's not just training and it's not just training and nutrition. Actually, there are many more other factors involved: emotions, the chemistry, the chemicals on the food, and so many other things. And I thought, wow, why did I know about these things? So what I ended up doing after I finished my first kinesiology course, I've started expanding, and I've done over 15 courses by now, from NLP, Senar, breathing, heart math, Reiki, TFT, you name it. This was just the official ones, plus so many other presentations in London. Now, by that time, I thought in a good way that I knew a lot of things. And like 2009, 2010, we returned from the Hippocrates Center in USA, where people with terminal cancers, they get well, and they have good results in general. And I was exposed to, I went to a talk about breathing, and then they were telling us that we need to eat less, we need to eat only when we're hungry, sleep only when we're sleepy, some crazy things, skip breakfast. And I thought, either I didn't learn the things properly, by that time I have about 9, 10 qualifications, or I'm missing something. So I've done the course, I start applying things, not all of them straight away. I went again to another course. I was allowed to go for another course and start applying more things. the results were amazing. You can go without sleep, doing breathing exercises, without food, no problem at all. So I was so excited about that. So all my qualifications, everything that I do, it just surrounded around breathing, which is the bottom line, the oxygenation of our blood tissues and organs. All the rest we do is just to support the body to come on a perfect homeostatic state, and that it cannot be that unless the oxygenation of the blood tissues and the organs is proper. Now, and this is what I'm going to share with you today. So what you're getting actually now is, a part of thousands and thousands of pounds investment in different courses, you're getting also the time I spent and all the knowledge just distilled in simply one presentation. So, what is breathing? Well, most of the people, they think we just breathe in, we breathe out. That's it. Well, breathing is much more than that. It has to play a phenomenal role to the oxygenation of our blood tissues and cells. And there's so many different health modalities out there that just talking about oxygenation. However, as you will see later on, here I'm not talking about depending on different oxygen supplements or machines and etc. Most of them, they don't work. It's something that you can do yourself and have your body oxygenated all the time. Now, there are certain categories of diseases. This actually on your handouts, just very important. I've sent some handouts yesterday, and everyone should have those handouts. If you don't have them, just send a message. On the top right, there is a button called says chat. Send a message, and Lana is on the other side. She's gonna just email it to you, or just make some notes on a white paper, and then I'm gonna send you the information on an email. But for the ones who have the handout, this slide is actually, there are some blanks that you can fill in. So categories of diseases, we have the infectious diseases such as hepatitis, we have congenital such as birth defects, chronic diseases or diseases of civilizations, which actually is only about 200 of them out of the 30,000 known to men. Now, these 200 are the most not popular, is the ones we see again and again. They're prevailing nowadays, from heart disease, prostate, asthma, arthritis, you name it. All this has to do due to hyperventilation, at least as a root cause. So what I'm going to tell you, it's going to help you with all these chronic diseases, as well as with if someone has an infectious disease, it suppresses the immune system. However, breathing properly, it will help you to cope better. Now, diseases, what diseases you can treat? Actually, I will show you on my computer on another page. There are a lot of diseases that you can deal with. Just 1 second. I think my screen froze a bit, so I'm going to return back to the presentation. But I'm going to send you a link. There are 3 different stages of diseases that you can deal with. That normal ones, simple problems. There are the more advanced, which is you can have arthritis, lupus, and these diseases, they can take about 3 months of retraining to 6 months. And there are other chronic diseases which you will feel much better, but you cannot reverse completely the problems. So as I said, I'm going to send you a link afterwards. So you will be able to explore. So you will know exactly what you can expect when it comes to breathing retraining. So moving on, now breathing in sports. The breathing, the oxygenation, more importantly, it will give you less strain on the heart. You will have more oxygen on the muscles. Also very important, it's going to reverse the lactic acid buildup, more stamina, faster recovery, and stronger muscle fibers, which means you will have less injuries. Also, you will find that the breathing, it's related to physical degeneration. Weston Price, he's a very famous naturopath, and he actually, most of the vegans and vegetarians, they treat his book as a Bible in physical degeneration. He done a fantastic research where he was actually testing, measuring the health state of the people, of the indigenous people in an island. Half of them, they were exposed to processed food, and half they didn't change the diet. The ones who were exposed to processed food, the Western food, their teeth, they start getting rotten, changing the shape of the face, and much, much more. And he attributed that to the food. However, the bottom line is the breathing. So kids with problems and adults with teeth problems, it has to do with hyperventilation, because when we hyperventilate, it just is affecting the whole body as well as the shape now of our body and our jaw. Now, and teeth. My son, he's 6.5, and a daughter 3.5. And we took him, he's 1.5 years now. We put special braces only on the top teeth, and he does breathing exercises. So he will not have to put any braces, and his face is more rounded and is developing absolutely fine. So teeth are affected by the breathing. Now, the other thing is a lot of people, they tell us that we live longer. It's far, yes, we live longer, but most of us were so sick. And you can see that from recent statistics, like the people who are on antidepressants in 2010, it's almost doubled in a decade. Stress, it's related to the lack of oxygen in the brain. If you oxygenate your body, 20–25% of that, it's gonna go in the brain. So stress, it has to do with, again, with oxygenation. Now, the most recent research from NHS, actually, 1 in 5 Britons suffer from anxiety or depression. That's crazy. I know it can be money, it can be health, it can be so many different things, but this is crazy numbers. We don't get healthier, we're getting actually worse. We live more like, not Frankenstein, but some people live like zombies. They cannot do anything. They need a carer to look after them. And in most cases now, I've seen actually, and as a client, some carers who burned out themselves. So you can see what's happening here. Now, the new American child. Well, I mentioned American child because anything is happening in the USA, it comes then in the UK. So if we know what's happening there, then we know what to expect in this side of the Atlantic. 58% of all children have chronic illnesses or are overweight. So do we really live longer? I've seen actually, as a client, some carers who burn out themselves. So you can see what's happening here. Now, the new American child. Well, I mentioned American child because anything is happening in the USA, it comes then in the UK. So if we know what's happening there, then we know what to expect in this side of the Atlantic. 58% of all children have chronic illnesses or are overweight. So do we really live longer? Actually, as a client, some carers burn out themselves. So you can see what's happening here. I think there is some of you might have some echo. It's playing back. Can everyone hear me properly, please?
If we know what's happening there, then we know what to expect in this side.
You can put on the chat box if you hear my voice twice, because it seems that it's playing back the sound.
Some parents going out themselves, so you can see what's happening. Yeah.
I think there is some of you might have some echo. It's playing back. Can everyone hear me properly, please?
We know what's happening there. This side.
You can put on the chat box if you hear my voice. Okay, I'm gonna continue I will continue the presentation. So I was saying that 50% of all children have chronic illnesses or are overweight. Now, thank you, Lana. Okay, do you still can hear it twice? I've done something. Can you still hear it twice? What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna stop broadcasting, and I'll just come. I'm gonna log in again. Let me just 1 second check something. So, okay, that's fine. Thank you for the messages. I will continue presenting. If there is any issues, just drop me a message so I will know. I will that at least you can understand what I'm saying and you don't hear my voice twice. So. Moving on, we can see here that 1 in 3 kids is, well, this was older one, now it's 50% of kids, they're overweight. You have so many kids, 1 in 88 has autism, actually the statistics change. And this tells you where we're heading, so we're getting worse, and there is a reason for that, and we're gonna explore the reason. Okay, Claire, thank you, so it's okay now. Now, before I continue with the statistics and the rest of the information, I just want to ask you a question. And how much do you tell me if you agree or not with this? Put a yes or a no in the chat box with the question. I fully trust the advice that I received from governmental sources and the media regarding my health. So just put a yes or a no on the chat box, and then and I will move on with the rest of the presentation. Now, let's debug some myths. Deep breathing is good. No, deep breathing is not good. I will explain why. We need a good breakfast. No, breakfast can be the worst meal of the day. And again, and it's not, this we're saying in Hippocrates, also we learn at breathing, and actually I tested, and I can explain that. We need minimum 7-8 hours of sleep. Not necessarily. Training is good for everyone. Thank you for the answer, Claire. You said no. Training is good for everyone. No, it's not good for everyone. Actually, most of the people, especially in stressed people and in London, they shouldn't touch training until they build up their health first. Regular meals and snacking are good for us. Wrong. I know it's strong statements, and actually this one, there are some very famous nutritionists saying you snack all the time. That means that you feed your you balance the insulin with the food, whereas that you're supposed to go without food without having any problem, so you depend on the food. So another myth, we need yeah, I put it a good breakfast already. So there's a lot of things, and the big industries there, they're telling us to do things that you're paying money for that, you're doing courses, and they're teaching you the wrong things. That's why even the practitioners, they are sick themselves, because it's a broken phone, lost communication. Also, I can see here, Gudrun, Monica, I'm glad everyone is agreeing. You need to listen to everyone, the doctors and non-doctors, but again, you judge at the end yourself. See if they're healthy themselves. Check the person who give you the advice, and then you can decide. So let's move on. There's a lot of things to cover here, and thank you for your participation. So the factors that they affect breathing. So look, you cannot sort out a problem without addressing the whole. A problem is usually the symptom, so you need to look the whole body. So the problems can be physical, nutritional, environmental, emotional, or spiritual. And I will touch very, very lightly on those, but you need to know that these things affecting, stressing our body, they affect our diaphragm, and then it's affecting our breathing. And consequently, that it affects the oxygenation of the blood cells and tissues. So today I'm going to touch on the food as it was the description of the webinar, but there are other things like cosmetics. Anything touching on the skin goes straight into the blood cells, into the bloodstream, so it's stressing our body. Genetically modified food, it just again creates inflammation, so it's affecting the breathing, and many, many more things. And actually there is a nice quote from Mark Bittman: as things stand at the moment, we're being used as guinea pigs. So as I told you before, a lot of the stuff that they're not good for us, and they're very harmful, you will know about them in 20, 30, or maybe 40 years. So do you want to wait so long, or you would like to find out now? Because you can't afford that. Otherwise, you'll pay the consequences of ill health. Now, moving on, we have physical, structural, the way we sleep, too much exercise, or too little in some cases, overbreathing. I mentioned earlier cecal valve. It's usually known mainly to kinesiologists. It's a valve between the small and large intestine, and over 95% of the people have it not function properly, and it creates intoxication related to so many health problems. So there's a lot of things that we're not aware. Environmental, wireless networks, mobile phones, geopathic stress, even the beds, if there's metallic beds, they can hold static electricity. Again, there's so many things that we don't know. I know there is some gadgets, for example, to protect us from the phones. I use some of them, or from the Wi-Fi, like the electrodot. I'm using, I give into the clients, but it's just only sorting part of the problem. Another good product is just an earthing mat, where you're connected to the earth, and the body absorbs the electrons from the earth, so it helps you to sleep better. Now, emotional and nutritional, emotional and mental, that one is a big one. Most of the people, they're constantly stressed, not only because of the thoughts. Thoughts is the end result of bad nutrition, watching wrong movies, wrong films, and or associating with the wrong people, reading the newspapers. They're messing them around with the mind, so they get stressed. Once they get stressed, within 1 minute, they produce adrenaline, and then changing to cortisol, which stays in our body for 13 hours. Now, before that even finish and the body clear, then you have another something else that stress you. So, and then it's messing up the hormones, it's messing up everything. Now, you really need to know how to manage the emotions, which again, if you're oxygenated enough, you will have a calm mind. Spiritual, spiritual, if you're not able to question who we are, what we do here, and why we're here, etc., then you will live in fear. I'm not saying to have an answer, but you should be able to look and with a smile and say, wow, really, at the end of the day, we know nothing. And Socrates once said from the ancient Greece, he said, I know one thing, I know nothing. And Oracle of Delphi actually said he was the wisest man of those days. look, don't stress yourself to know everything, but be able, don't be afraid to look questions like this, questions that they're bigger than us. Now, a perfect man breathes as he's not breathing. This was from Lao Tzu 2,000 years ago. So no one talks about deep breathing. Breathing in yoga, there's so many different yogas, and a lot of yoga teachers, they're sick, some they have asthma. Now, that's crazy, because yoga, actually the Patanjali, the founder, said that unless someone can hold their breath for 2 minutes, they shouldn't do any yoga, because they were using yoga for health and also for to move in meditation to alter states, yeah, because if you're very well oxygenated, then you connect better with, you know, say divine, higher self, whatever you call it. So it became a bit of broken phone, and there are so many yogas out there, versions. And here, interestingly enough, on the Bhagavad Gita, very famous Indian series of books, he said, suspending the inward and outward breaths within nostrils and thus controlling the mind. So the mind is directly related to the breath, but also tells us to breathe, to suspend the air in the nostrils, nowhere deep breathing. So actually, that's one very important thing. One of my teachers, bless him, he said, you can call yoga stretching, but you can't, the modern yoga, like stretching exercises with nice music, but you can't call it yoga, because yoga then it has nothing to do with the original yoga. And the more I look and I see what's going out there, actually I will agree more and more with his comment. And again, I'm gonna scientifically prove it to you, and I use it all the time for myself and for my clients and my family. Now, so if you're ill, stop over breathing. We know that body temperature is 98.6, the pulse, the blood pressure, but also doctors know that if someone hyperventilates, that is going to maybe cause the other person to feel sick, but they don't know really how important is the breathing. One simple example will be, if you ask a sick person with any health problem, asthma, thyroid, allergies, ask them to hyperventilate. They're going to start feeling dizzy, because it's paradox. You will think, well, they're taking a lot of oxygen, why are they getting dizzy? I will explain that scientifically, but it's not how the body is working, the biochemistry of our body. Also, what's elderly people? The elderly people, they breathe, they have the mouth open, and all the time like this, and they can't get enough air. Why? They're taking so much oxygen. Well, let's see why. How much oxygen and carbon dioxide do we need? In the atmosphere, you have like 0.035% of carbon dioxide, and in our body, we have 6.5% of carbon dioxide, 6.5 to 7% of carbon dioxide, and 2% of oxygen. Now, this is in different forms, carbonic acid, etc. In case someone is a practitioner, the bottom line is that the moment we hyperventilate, we're changing this ratio. So then, if you take deep breaths, then you're going to have 3-4% of oxygen and less carbon dioxide, and that is going to affect the oxygenation of our body in a negative way. And I will move on and I will explain. So bear that in mind. So we need 200 times more carbon dioxide than it is in the atmosphere. Now, this is not something new. This has been there for ages. It's been from the beginning of the century, and the forefathers of medicine, they knew about that. However, as the pharmaceutical companies came in the market, they understood that it was a big business out there, and a lot of these things, they were suppressed. and actually they were not even taught properly on the medical schools. Now here you can see the law of Verico and Boru. As I said, they were forefathers. You can Google them and you can see who they were. Carbon dioxide regulates oxygen departure from blood, and a fall in carbon dioxide results in reduced oxygenation of tissues and vital organs. Poor oxygenation leads to myriad complaints, and these myriad complaints are all the genetic and epigenetic predispositions that we have, the blueprints. Now, if we're oxygenated enough, then you will not have any of these problems. If the oxygenation is poor, then we open our self to those problems. That's why I mentioned you'll have more energy, vitality, productivity, and digestion, because if you're oxygenated properly, you will have those benefits plus much, much more. Now, also, a lot of you will be surprised, especially the practitioners. You have in the Encyclopedia of Medicine, Yandel Henderson says, carbon dioxide is in fact a more fundamental component of living matter than its oxygen. Wow. So carbon dioxide, which we think is ruining our planet and etc., then that one is more fundamental to our health than the oxygen. And this comes from Encyclopedia of Medicine and the forefathers of medicine. So why is that? Let's see why is that. All this which I'm saying is based on Konstantin Buteyko. We have the same name, Konstantin. He was a Russian scientist. Actually, he was a general. He had 3-star general, and he was working for the military. And he had he was working mainly for the submarines and for the airspace. So if you wanted 500 people to test things, he could have 500 people. That's it. If he wanted money, equipment, he could have as much as he wanted. So he done exhausting research on how our breathing is affected. And because there's not enough time now, he discovered this maneuver, breathing test, that it will show you how oxygenated is your blood cells and tissues. Now, I'm going to email you that test to you. However, I'm going to put back the screen and I'm going to do with you this test. And please keep the score. You don't need to give me the score to me, but it will help us for the rest of the presentation. So let me just put myself back on screen. Hello again. So the test is as follows. So you're gonna breathe in, breathe out, you pinch the nose, and you hold the breath. The mouth is closed. Now you hold your breath until you feel the first urge to breathe. So when you feel the first urge to breathe, you just release your nose. So you're gonna feel either on the throat or the diaphragm a light pressure. When you release, you should be able to breathe without gasping for air. If you gasp for air, it means that you already pushed too much. So sit comfortably, watch me, and let's do that test, and then we will continue. So you breathe in, you breathe out, pinch your nose, and hold your breath. I'm using the timer and I'm going to start counting seconds, and whenever you feel the first urge, just release. And remember the time. So 10, 11, 13, 15, 17, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. I'm going to stop here. If someone's still holding the breath, it means they're already pushing more, unless they are divers and the breathing has been lost its sensitivity. I'm going to explain. So write down the score, the time for yourselves, and I'm going to continue with the presentation, and it's going to make sense to you. And I'm going to switch back again to the slideshow. Okay, so let's see what is the control pose. That was the control pose, the exercise that we done earlier on. As I said, I'm going to send it to you. Now, healthy human beings, they breathe 3 to 4 liters, so we should be able to hold our breath for 60 seconds. I don't do that. Yogis do that. If I'm going to fast, if I'm going to do fasting or go without sleep, I can get that. But this is not my normal. It's going to be because I just done the fasting. That's all. We want most of the people to be 35 seconds. If you're above 35 seconds, you don't have any any chronic health problems. Still, if you breathe for 6 to 8 liters per minute, which is like 30 seconds, 35 seconds, it's like you're breathing for 2 people. People with 20 seconds around there, it's breathe for 3 people. Then you can see as we're going down 15 seconds, it's for 4 people. There are a lot of people like this out there, and they don't show any symptoms, and they think they're healthy, and they're very sick. Sometimes people that don't have any defensive mechanisms, and that's why they drop dead, like athletes. They drop dead suddenly. You thought they were fit, but the oxygenation were very, very poor. They were hyperventilating. Then you see 10 seconds, and then 5 seconds. Anything below 15, and especially under 10, they're in a very delicate situation, and they really they need to deal with that ASAP, because they can just have a heart attack, anything out of the blue, because they don't know they're so sick. So this is what's happening with the breathing. We want you to be on 30-35 seconds. Now, for best results, just do that every do it in the morning for 5 days in a row. Do it first thing in the morning, and then you will get the average, and then it will show you a true indication where is your health. Nowadays, most of the people, they're about 17 seconds. The old days, it was more. Now, the reason for that is because too much stress, toxicity, vaccinations, you name it. Now, the interesting thing is that Buteyko said that the moment that the society gets to 15 seconds and less, the society will collapse. And we see that happening. You see kids with chronic diseases that we didn't even see them before with the adults. This is because obviously it has to do, it's 2nd and 3rd generation of unhealthy parents, grandparents, no breastfeeding, no detoxing before pregnancy. So all these things, it makes us weaker and weaker as human beings. And everyone is looking on the symptoms rather than the root cause. Now, the role of carbon dioxide, it affects the nervous system, the hormonal, cardiovascular, digestive, immune, the pH, you name it. There is a whole biochemical analysis available. I can send it to you. As most of you probably know or heard, oxygen, we need oxygen. Yes, if we're oxygenated, we're gonna be in a homeostatic state and will not have any health problems. Now, it's important to understand that in order the oxygen to go into the blood tissues, we need carbon dioxide to release it from the hemoglobin. The oxygen sits on the hemoglobin in the blood, and then the carbon dioxide, it facilitates its release into the blood tissues. That's why if we hyperventilate, we drop the levels of carbon dioxide in our body, and then less oxygenation is facilitated to our body. So that's a very important point. As I said before, I'm gonna be there at the end. I can clarify anything you need. Now the other thing is, look what's happening here. If we breathe normally, look the effect on our brain, and look if we hyperventilate. That was done with a scan. Now, 20 to 25% of the oxygen that we have in our body, it goes into the brain. That's why ADHD, mental problems, even serious cases of mental problems, they're related to the lack of oxygen. Yes, there is toxicity. Yes, malnutrition. Yes, 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 yes. We can do all these things, but unless we deal with the oxygenation, you don't deal with the root cause of the problem, and you will not have the end results that you really want. And it will make sense on the next two slides. Why most of the breathing techniques and oxygen equipment don't work, at least on the long term. You might find a relief, like if you take oxygen, elderly people take oxygen, they feel a relief, but they don't feel, it will not help them to survive. It just helps them not to suffer, because it's very difficult when you're short of carbon dioxide, you're gasping for air. So it helps you not to suffer, but it doesn't help you. In order to get better. Now, the reason for that is the respiratory center. Now, what is the respiratory center? Our breathing is controlled by a gland in the brain called the medulla oblongata. So when you want to breathe, that need, it doesn't come from your this need, it doesn't come from the lungs. It comes from the gland, the medulla oblongata. So this is a primitive mechanism. This primitive mechanism, actually, it's so strong, you can't commit suicide by holding the breath. So in order to retrain that, it needs tremendous, well, not effort, you need to do it systematically. It will not allow you, it will cause problems. You see, a healthy baby, you can hardly see that is breathing. When then you start introducing different things, bad food and stress, etc., then that gland, this respiratory center, is untrained and they start hyperventilating. So that it takes some time to happen. And so to reverse it back to the normal, you need to remove the stressors, you need to do specific exercises, and that it's gonna, you know, take time and effort. It's not the easiest thing to do, but the results, they're amazing. Now, let me tell you about the food and its impact and how it's impacting our breathing. Buteyko found that foods rich in proteins, especially the quick absorbing animal proteins, eggs, dairy, fish, caviar, I'm going to mention them later, they're really affecting our breathing a lot. Whilst fresh fruits and vegetables, they have less impact on our ventilation. So why is that? Well, there's two things. One is the fresh fruits and veggies. They have enzymes which they help the digestion, so less stress on our body. It's using less carbon dioxide, which is needed for the digestion. The other reason is like certain proteins, they're affecting our respiratory center. So we need to be careful what we eat, especially when we are sick. Now, the other main thing is overeating or eating very frequently. That really is just, it's making you produce insulin without needing. So we need to eat only when we're hungry, unless you're on a specific detox, etc. But most of the people, when they overeat, it messes their breathing big time. That's why they go to sleep afterwards, so they feel like dead when they eat too much. Now, they done also a research in 1912, and they found out, you remember that test that we done before? Let's say you were 20 seconds. They found out people who ate meat, a meat meal, it dropped their oxygenation by 12 seconds. So that actually, it can create a health crisis for someone who's very sick. Whereas the vegetarian, it was not as much. Bear in mind, saying vegetarian, again, you need to be careful not to have genetically modified food, because even if it's vegetarian, still it will be very difficult to digest. But in general, the more sick you are, you need to avoid dairy, eggs, chicken, and other high proteins, because they will affect your breathing. Now, and also coffee and tea, keep it to the minimum. Now, a list of food from worst to better, it is on your handout, is as follows: caviar, lobster, crab, seafood. You can see the fish, actually, for some reason, I know it's good for omegas and etc. if it's not polluted, but it's affecting our breathing. As we're going down, they're affecting less and less. So I know some of you probably you're making some notes, but again, you're gonna have a replay, so you can watch it on your own time. But you know, you can get the information at the end, because we need to move on with the presentation. So basically, high protein animal food, it's affecting our breathing. If you wanted to eat meat, lamb, it will be your best choice. Best food actually is raw vegetables and fruits. If you have poor digestion, you look to it cooked vegetables, because it's going to be difficult to digest, especially the salads. And not all fruits can be fantastic for us if we're sick. I'm not saying anyone to change the diet, but you need to be aware that some of them, especially berries, they don't have such positive impact as other fruits in our health. Same with honey. Now, how can I retrain the respiratory center? So before I'm going to go and give you some tips on breathing, and also tell you what else you can do, I'm just going to run through how I retrain my respiratory center, and how it's taught the breathing the breathing center retraining. Most of the schools is they just show you some exercises, and they don't push you, because if they push you holding your breath and doing difficult exercises, that it's gonna cause cleansing reactions. And cleansing reactions, you really need to have a skill to manage those reactions. And actually, Konstantin Buteyko, he said that we shouldn't push with the breathing, because he was aware that most of the practitioners, they were not skilled to deal with the cleansing reactions. However, if you see a documentary, there was a documentary in 1996 when the method came in the UK, and they have people with chronic asthma reversed, they were actually pushing. But because they have a lot of media, attack, you can say, they just said in public not to use it. But the classical breathing Buteyko method is by pushing systematically your breath hold, and then retrain the system. So you can do a course which is quite a few £1,000, and then be mentor for different cases like I've done. I've been doing that for 4 years, and so many patients, and been mentoring, and still part of the team of the people who came direct from Konstantin Buteyko. So I learned the real method. That's the one way. The other way is people look books, DVDs, CDs, where you can you can mislead yourself, and you can get worse. And I will tell you a case study in a short while. So all in all, if you have a serious chronic problem, you can have one-to-one training, which needs a lot of attention to help you with the medication and etc. And that one is from like say 1,000 to 1,500 per month. But it's, you know, you change completely your health, and you need to be supervised constantly. Now, if someone is in a relatively good health and they don't have medication, then they can do like a 5 days online course, and 3 weeks of coaching support to help you, which is 597. Now, it is important to mention that it's not like a course and then you finish, that's it. Your training starts after you finish the 5 days of training. The 5 days is actually 2 hours per day. We arranged for the 20 to the 24th of October. It's 8 till 10 p.m. That we're gonna retrain the respiratory center systematically. If you don't do that systematically, it's gonna kick a fuss and you're gonna give up. Once you do that after the 5 days, then you need to send the score so I can just guide you if you have cleansing reactions, what to do, how to cope. Different people will have, they will need different support. That's why I have in a 45 minutes of one-to-one health strategy session. So we will fill a questionnaire and I'll see where you are at the moment. And then I will tell you exactly what results you can expect. And if you're on a medication, that will work a treat, because if you follow what I'm saying, then you can just titrate and cut down, or some cases even stop completely within 1 month. But I will tell you after I have a one-to-one session with you. Also, there is access to other previous webinars, so you can have a better understanding what is affecting your breathing. Because you see, we can do the breathing, but if you sleep with the phone next to your ear, that is going to make your exercise more difficult. If you're eating a toxic food, that is going to make your breathing exercise more difficult. So I want to educate you to make it as easier for you, because your success is my success. And also I'm going to give you a free ticket for you and one more person to the next live event, one-day live event, which I will have in London, because, you know, we're real people. It's not just only online. We're accessible. We work in a clinic in London. So, you know, we're real people, and it's nice to see you in person and share your experiences and etc. So you have fully support. It's not just the 5 days. It's a whole month with the supervision. I told you about the dates. Now let's see what you're gonna learn. So the first day one, you learn the basic breathing habits, and you learn about the nutrition. We start with the fundamentals. You cannot run unless you learn first how to walk. Then we have the second day. We're gonna learn how to sleep, what to do if people are sick. This is amazing, not only for your health, also for patients and friends. If someone is sick, you shouldn't sleep more than 3 hours on a row. And this, interestingly enough, you will see the yogis, they don't go into deep sleep not to lose the control of the breath. When I was going to Brahma Kumaris years ago, they were telling us to wake up at 3:30 and do meditation and then go back to sleep. Did they know about that? Well, they know it helps for their health. They didn't know maybe scientifically. So this is of paramount importance. You will learn things differently than you're doing at the moment. And unfortunately, a lot of them were misled, like myself, not intentionally, but it's like a broken phone. One says one thing, the other says a different, and then we get the wrong message. Also, you're gonna learn how to alleviate symptoms. It works as a treat, especially with colds, running nose, headaches and stuff. Amazing. You can stop them as soon as they come. Day 3, oops, I think it shows the same slide. Then day 4, you're gonna learn about the cold and flu, and also panic and anxiety elimination. This panic and anxiety, it's directly, I'm emphasizing, directly related to the respiratory center. It has to do with the breathing. Some people, they're so sick, when you mention them anything, breathing, or to close the mouth, and usually put a micropore tape on the mouth, they get panicking. This is the power of respiratory center and the importance of the breathing. So that's very important to know how to do it. And day 5, we're gonna review everything, and we're gonna give you your plan, what to do. And then we have every week, we're gonna have the follow-up coaching. Of course, you can send me an email, send me your scores. I'm committed. It's gonna be a small group anyway. I cannot do many people because you need my personal attention. And then I'm gonna be there to support you. But you will see results within 2 days, more energy, less food, you'll sleep better. And if you have any symptoms, you're gonna go a bit up and down. But you know, in 1 week, 4 weeks, you're gonna see massive difference. You just need to follow the exercises, which it takes 15 minutes. I'm going to explain at the end of the questions, but it takes about 15 minutes 4 times a day. We might have to change it depending your health conditions. So I would like to share with you, now that I said that, I want to give you a food test that you can test any food for you and, you know, family or clients. So do you remember that control pose that we done? Well, you can do the same thing. You can just do that before you eat, then you eat, and after half an hour, do again that control pose. If you have dropped by 4 or 5 seconds, then it's not suitable for you at the moment. So this test, it's life-changing. It doesn't mean it's for you need to avoid the food forever, but if you have health problems, then and you suspect the food is not good for you or something you eat regularly, test it. Test it because it's going to be the answer to your problems. Now, some healthy eating habits that I would like to share with you, because I appreciate you took it's Friday evening and you're here listening to me, and I do appreciate that genuinely. So eat only when you're hungry. Very, very important. Drink only at least 15 minutes before food or at least 1 hour after your meal. Ideally 2 hours after the meal, not with the meal. Eat slowly because it takes 20 minutes to send a signal from the stomach to the brain that you're full. So you can eat like a lot, and then you find yourself, you know, that you overate, and by that time it's going to be really, really late, and it will have messed up your breathing. Also, if you want to eat a dessert, eat it on its own or eat it not straight after the meal, because the food will ferment and will make more difficult digestion. Don't talk while you're chewing food. Finish and then talk, otherwise you take deep breaths, and that is affecting your digestion. And also chew properly. As I said, drink your food and chew your drink. It's going to be easier to digest. So does the retraining, the respiratory center really works? It does. And apart the fact that it worked for me, I want to share some results, the case studies that I told you, and some testimonials. Now, you can see that when the method came out in '94 in Australia, and then they came in '96 in the UK, we see impressive results, breakthrough. This was from doctors in Australia. Then in the UK, they used it in the Parliament. They mentioned in Sunday Telegraph. There is also a documentary, as I said, in BBC. Although the doctors, they didn't want to know when they saw that people gave up medications after so many years. Now, a couple of case studies. One is John Sunderland, who's actually he's working with emotional intelligence. And John, he had asthma, he has digestion problems. And as we work in a project together, I said, let me help you just to stop with that medications. Although he's a very busy man, we just saw the exercises. I coached him a bit, and then I lost contact, and I asked him after, 1 year or something. I spoke to him, and actually he stopped. Not only he stopped all his medications, he stopped going to the GB for antibiotic, he stopped taking the flu vaccinations, and he lost 2 stones of weight. You see, when the body comes in its default homeostatic state, the natural, how we were born, then weight, everything is going to adjust back to normal. So he had an amazing result, and actually he just done the breathing and a couple of other things, but mainly it was just the breathing. If you persist with exercises, this is what you're gonna get. The other thing is, it works with kids, especially if they have medication. No problem. We need to do different variations, but it can work miracles. We have here Mariana and Konstantinos Priovolu. They were both they're on thyroid medication, and after a month or so, we were working together. They cut it more than half the medication because they didn't do everything 100%, but still you get the benefit. They stop afterwards completely, and within a month or so, cholesterol went down, the thyroxine levels changed, everything started changing. And the last case study before we complete, I'm aware of the time, it was Lucy. Lucy was Lucy is an artist, and she was into raw food juicing, and we met on an event where I was exhibiting there, and she done the breathing for all the family, and I did tell her that she can drop the medication within a couple of months if you just follow what I told her. She done all the exercises, and she had immediate results with especially with the sleep and not feeling exhausted. We had to remove a tooth. Teeth actually they can be detrimental to our health, especially root canals and stuff, because they create systemic infection. Not all of them, but the vast majority. So it's another thing you're gonna learn there, how to check, how to find them. And as you can see, she stopped completely all the medication, and she's full of energy. Of course, we done some other things, but the main thing, she started with the breathing, which changed her life completely. There are more testimonials. If you go to totalhealthnow.co.uk, there is a tab, it says testimonial. There are videos. I don't need to go through more on that, but I just want you to give you an idea what you can expect. Now, one more question I would like to ask you, all of you. Do you agree with the statement below, unless it is broken, don't fix it? Please put it on the chat box, just what you think about that. And the reason being is, you see, people don't like prevention or don't do anything about their health unless they have a problem. By that time, in most cases, for most practitioners will be very late, because they cannot reverse some problems, or they don't know how, and it will cost them a lot of suffering and money, and sometimes relationships and even jobs. In USA, over 67% of the bankruptcies, it's because of health problems. So you can see the importance of maintaining our health and not waiting something to break first. So I'm aware that there's a delay of 30-40 seconds, my sound to reach to you. So I will continue, and then I will see any replies as they come. So next thing is, if you're serious about your health and your loved ones, then I'm suggesting, I strongly advise, it's up to you obviously, to do the course. Now, you see, because you're waiting until the end, I have another surprise, but I wanted only to leave it for the people who stay till the end. We did mention for one-to-one, but for the group one, which is for 5 days and then 3 weeks follow-up, plus all the bonuses which I mentioned, which they're needed. It's not just bonuses to fill in the space or give value. It's things that you need. I need to assess you. I need to follow up with you. I need to ensure that you understand what is affecting your breathing. I can't do one-to-one. It's a lot of time and it will be more expensive. So I need to ensure that I give you, I do it as a group. Plus the 1 day, I just, for the ones who attend tonight, it's just going to be 497. There is a code here. I'm going to come back to that, so you can get a discount of £100. And also, what I want to do for the first 5 people who are booking this is valid only for the webinar. It's not for people who will watch the replay, because this actually costs money. I'm going to give the electrodot, and it has a phone harmonizer and the earthing mat of total value of £125. So I'm going to give to the 5 people who are gonna book first. You can see a button on the right hand side, a yellow button which says add to cart. So you can go click there and book now, or it's gonna be a link at the end, so you can go after the presentation. But if you want to book now, you can. So the main thing though is you have satisfaction guarantee. There is no way at all, if you do what I'm saying to do, and then we can measure that with the control pose, that breathing exercise, that you will not get results. I'm so sure about that once you complete the exercise as prescribed for 4 weeks, and you don't have the results that I promise you will have, because I will speak to you individually, then I'm going to work with you until you do so. But there is no way that it will not work, because it's a law. The more you increase the oxygenation, the better you're going to feel and the more problems you're going to solve. Yes, you're going to have cleansing reactions, but I'm here to manage you. So you have 100% guarantee. I will be behind you just to work together. Now, a lot of you, I know you know other people. It's good to do it with another person. If anyone brings another person who is not registered on the webinar, then you can have another £100 off. So it's going to be $397 per person if you bring a friend to do the course, because that way, really, you're both winning. Everyone is winning. So that's what I have to say. So let me just give you the code before we go to the questions and answers. So please write down the code. It says THNKK100. So save that code, because when you're going to go to the website, the normal price is $597. So you want to put this code. And if you have anyone else joining, I'm going to just, we're going to speak on the phone and arrange the different, to pay the difference. So that's it. Here, I'm going to leave this slide with all the information, so you can visit the website straight away here. And if you want to go straight to the breathing, it explains everything very properly, the whole course, the structure, etc. You have the email and you have the phone number if you like to contact me. Now, I'm all yours to answer any questions that you may have. So please go ahead and send me any questions. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to answer the most common questions that I usually get. This question is it suitable for kids? Yes, absolutely, even for newborns. How long it will take to get well? Well, that depends on what is the starting point. That's why I need to have the one-to-one session with you, so I will see what is the starting point, and then I will know exactly what I can promise you, what results you can get. The other question is, but I'm healthy, I don't have any problem. Well, do the breathing test. Now, a lot of people that don't show any health problems because they don't have defensive mechanisms. That's why people drop dead, as I said. Now, a lot of you're gonna get the breathing test wrong. You're gonna push more. Now, if you want to push as much as you like, what you can do is you need to get to about 80-90 seconds in order to be to 30 seconds as I said on the test. If someone is doing diving, it's quite common that the respiratory center lost its sensitivity and they can hold their breath longer. It doesn't mean they're healthy, because there is another way we can measure that. Also, for kids, it's fantastic, because for kids, they're less toxic and it's easier to retrain the respiratory center. We do different exercises. We do with walking steps and etc. So these are some of the most common questions. So please go ahead and send me any questions that you might have. I'm just gonna wait a few seconds here. And actually, I'm gonna now, I think everyone wrote down all the contact details. I'm gonna just show my face. I prefer to see you live. So make sure you write all these details while you're typing your questions. It's on the top right. You will see it says chat. Just put a message and just send it. Okay, I'm back again. So I really hope that you found the information very valuable. And as I promised, it was very different than what you have get used out there. And this is again the bottom line. All our aim should be to retrain the respiratory center and normalize our breathing and oxygen levels in our body. So let me see. I'll wait a few more seconds because of the. Yeah, I have one question. Yeah, kids with allergies. Allergies. Allergies is a problem which has to do with the respiratory center. It's affecting our breathing. That's why when people they have anaphylactic shocks and stuff, it's affecting the breathing. So it's one, especially with kids, it's one of the quite straightforward things to correct. So it's no problem with that. Also, if you have people on medication, we need to titrate them slowly, depending what is the problem. I have someone, he was for a prostate medication, we cut it down within we cut it within 2 weeks because there was no side effects. You can't do that with a heart medication or with thyroid, because you need, before you cut down the medication, you need to increase the oxygenation, manage any symptoms, then you cut down a bit more. Again, the same, increase oxygenation, manage a bit more, and so on. Again, that's why it's important to assess you one-to-one and tell you what you can expect. Look, everyone can do the group course so they can save money and time, but then if someone needs individual coaching, then we can just arrange that. It is no problem, but still it comes better value because you will learn from other people as well. When you're listening to my suggestions to other people, then you will pick up this knowledge for yourself, and you can use it for you, clients, or advise the family. So I don't see any more questions coming. On that note, I'll just wait another few seconds because it takes some time for the message to arrive to you. There is a bit delay on the streaming, and if I don't have more questions, I will let you enjoy the rest of the weekend. And it was great to have you here tonight. Yes, I don't see any questions, so I'm gonna say good night to everyone. Good night. Okay, you're welcome, Monica. So thank you guys and good night.